Okay, I gotcha. I love you. Anyhow. Fine. Anyhow, fine. Oh, that was perfect. Fine. So I'm gonna look at the next. It's good look at the actual outfit. Not that. Funny, real. So I'm gonna keep these jeans. I'm just gonna put my lace on top of this. So, it'll be fun. So you won't really see my top? Dude! Don't think I have you on edit on anything. Yeah, I don't think I have you edit on anything. Oh, do I? Maybe I do. I don't know. Also, sorry, I'm also watching the live. Yeah, not so live. For official thing. Artemis's the second spoon fire.
To their cabin configuration preparations, we are joined by Dr. Sarah Noble, the Artemis Lunar Science Lead. Thanks for joining us here today. It's quite a day. Yeah, we are very excited. I can only imagine how you guys are doing over there. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what your role is for Artemis 2.
Sure. So I'm the Artemis Lunar Science Lead, so over the entire campaign, and my job is basically to make sure that as we have this big adventure back to the moon, we actually learn new things about the moon.
Fascinating. So why is the moon such an important destination today?
Yeah, so the moon is a pretty amazing place. It is a great place to learn about basic fundamental processes that happen on like all the planets, like cratering and volcanology, and also it is part of our Earth-Moon system. And the Earth recycles its rocks pretty well, right, through plate tectonics and weathering and whatever. Most of the rocks on the Earth are geologically young, but on the moon we have the entire record that goes back 4.5 billion years until since we formed. And so if we really want to learn about what was happening in that period.
So I'm even going to put closed caption on.
We're also thinking about going back to the moon, and we want to go to the lunar South Pole.
So
what makes that such an interesting destination?
Yeah, South Pole is cool, right? It's far away from the places we went during Apollo. It's different kinds of rocks. They're some of the oldest rocks on the moon. It's also a place where we think there might be resources like water. There are craters that really never can see the sun because of the low sun angles there, and they get very cold. And we think that water and other things can build up in those craters, and so we're very interested to see what that might do for us.
I'm very interested as well. So for some of our viewers who might be new to this, what does lunar science look like during an Artemis mission?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for us as we have sort of built this from scratch to try to understand how we can best use the crew to support our science. And so, we've developed a system. We've got a team in place. We've got a back room here in this building called the Science Evaluation Room. And there's like a back room to that back room over in another building here at Johnson Space Center where we've got our teams of scientists working really hard. They're actually speaking to this room through our science officer. This is now the first time we've ever had a science officer.
Just a camp zone. The black shop, about black shops. Black shops, they never get dirty, but for you wear them, the black will they get. Someday I'll borrow them something to sound they don't get it yet. Not yet, not yet, not yet. These are cool, obviously, you just saw me. And I'm focusing on black socks and it says white socks. And I'm gonna put I see. So no cat hairs. Why do I not have balance in conditions? But in rules, I could do it so easily.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the way that we are building our foundation for the future. From everything from, how do you train a crew to be a geologist, right? And so, working through that, getting them classroom training, field training, building the science team, building these physical rooms that we are in, designing the software that the teams are using, and then, figuring out what happens to that data. They're going to take this data and it's going to come down and how do
My
we get it out to
wages,
not
what I
only
have
our
not
team,
learned
but out
yet.
to the world and
So
the
I
rest of
have
the science
hours, which I'm gonna put these on for dance, ballet, but these do have a goal, as you can see right here. But luckily I have a black wheel on, so it'll be fine.
One more question for you. How does the science
It'll be fine.
help support long-term exploration, including our
Now I need to do my hair, so let me quickly grab my hair for you because I want to have straight hair. It's my curling hair for today, and also just easy to cut up. So let me grab
We're
that.
the ones who are the experts in, landing site and doing analysis.
Hair straightening done. Because we also have this on my in the living room. On any job. I'm here. Don't worry, I'm still here. So I do not recommend do this when your hair is sick in it. But I do not have time to dry my hair. So just be really careful. So indoor. Also, ignore that. That is shit. Like I always say. And I have time to do my laundry, okay? Sorry. I was arguing because of the ride. Okay, I need to go down to at least free.
Houston, integrity for camera serial numbers. Ready to copy. Hey Jenny, these are card numbers for the various positions. For the long lens on the D5, we will have individual cards. Victor's 1008, Jeremy 1019, Reed 1012, myself 1015. For the Z9, we will have one card that is dedicated for today, serial number 1007. For the cabin camera, have one dedicated card for today, serial number 1022.
Okay, no. Just have to go on the high 7. I don't recommend doing it on the high 7.
Alright, Christina, we copy all. Thank you.
Oh, I just like my own. Like I said before, do not do this. You need to have this.
We just realized that we have Earth out window 1 and Moon out window 2. And we were, I'm sorry, Earth out window 4 and Moon out window 3. And it gives you the best idea of scale we have had yet. The Moon is about 3 to 4 times the size of the Earth, and it is almost full, and the Earth is just a small crescent out there. It's magnificent. I got a picture of it with the wide lens. Such a majestic view out here.
Amaze, amaze, amaze. Thank you, Reed.
That was so cool. Look, that actually looks so cool.
Those are some of the communications we're excited most about today. Commander Reed Wiseman calling down their view right now. Obviously a little bit different than what we can see from the solar array camera. They are looking through the windows of the Orion spacecraft, able to see at the same time Earth and the Moon. You also heard NASA astronaut Christina Cook calling down some of the cameras that they will be using today. The crew is in that cabin configuration portion, and we expect the lunar flyby observation period to start
Don't want to do this, like I said.
just about 20 minutes.
It has to keep it up, yeah.
Checking in on Orion's distance and speed, they are currently traveling 1,071 miles per hour, 249,159 miles away from Earth, 11,293 miles away from the Moon, and continuing to grow closer. At closest approach to the Moon today, the spacecraft will be just about 4,070 miles away from the lunar surface. This will be during our loss of signal with the crew as they travel behind the Moon, and we will await their return to get the official number for you for how close they come to our lunar neighbor.
Do not do this. I am doing it because it needs to be done quickly, and I cannot dry cooker even with a wood pile. So might as well get anything going. I'm also going to do sections, not too long sections.
Inside the cabin today, the lunar targeting package is the primary tool guiding the crew observations and consists of 2 key components. The lunar geography review helped the astronauts study major lunar features in advance and help learn how to orient themselves during the flyby. Because, of course, the Moon is not actually labeled like it appears here when we look at this map. The lunar targeting plan provides a detailed timeline of observation targets, background science context, and specific instructions for the pictures the crew should take, as well as the verbal descriptions that will be helpful to the science team reviewing them later. This is a screenshot from their lunar targeting package, and a screenshot specifically of that lunar.
No, that was good.
Go ahead.
Hey Jenny, understanding we are in final attitude now for the lunar flyby. Would it be possible to pitch the vehicle down 5 degrees? That would allow us to get the D5 long lens flush and have the least amount of window distortion.
We're checking. That call from Christina Cook, NASA astronaut and mission specialist on Artemis 2.
Copy.
The Orion spacecraft is positioned in a specific attitude to allow the crew to best see the moon outside of their windows today for this imaging opportunity. That call was a request for a potential attitude shift just slightly, another 5 degrees, to give them a better view and to give them a better opportunity to use their long lens camera. They'll also be using that lunar targeting package we were discussing. I am following along with that real time, so I'll be able to share with you exactly what targets the crew is looking at and when. They also trained with a lunar science passport. It's a little reference guide used on Earth to reinforce recognition of key lunar features. It is not on the flight, but it was a significant study tool for the crew to get them ready for launch. The apparent size of the moon will change throughout the flyby, and it'll appear roughly like a basketball held at arm's length at the crew's closest approach. That reinforces the need for careful planning and practiced observation techniques.
Houston, integrity for timeline.
Oh god, there we go. As you can see, that is pretty much clear.
Hey Jenny, just to make absolutely sure that we start observations when expected, we are showing an Optimus that observation time starts in about 15 minutes, and an LTP that our first target, discussion 1, starts in about 29 minutes. Can you confirm you'd like us to start discussion 1 in 29 minutes at 1900 GMT?
Christina, we are tracking that discussion 1 should start at 18:45. That's 15 minutes from now.
18.
Okay, copy all. It may be a granularity issue with LTP, but understand that we start that observation in 15 minutes, and I bet when we get there, the green line in LTP will match the start of the white band for discussion 1. I think it's just a matter of the labeling and the granularity. Thanks for confirming.
Copy, and we'll look into that a little bit more on our side as well. Christina, can you verify for us that your green line is moving on the timeline page of your LTP?
Affirm. Jenny, I do think we're good. Looking closer, I see the labels are just not aligned with start or end times of the white visible bands. It fully makes sense now, so I think we are all set. We'll look forward to starting some observations in about 13 minutes.
Copy, thanks Christina.
I'm also like this one, when it's wet. Like I said, do not do this. know, I'm also bored on my mind. So yes. No.
As you heard discussed, we are expecting the crew's observation time period to start in about 10 minutes. First, they'll be conducting a warm-up, warming up to their science observations of the moon. They'll be discussing with each other, helping each other orient using the major landmarks that they've studied, asking what is the lunar.
If we roll left, port 5 degrees, that would get the moon closer to the left side of window 2.
Oh, I like banana nut too.
Copy, Victor. We'd like to know if it's pitch and roll or one or the other.
Jenny, we actually thought you already put the pitch in. Had the pitch been put in already?
No, we need a little while longer to talk about it.
So, Jenny, I guess what's happening is just as our orbit's changing, where it is and the window is changing, so maybe these fancy little adjustments aren't worth it. It's going to continue to move in the window. Or is the spacecraft going to keep the moon at the same point of the window if we adjust the attitude? I assume the previous.
Right now, we are pointing the center of the window to the center of the moon with 2 degrees of deadband.
Mhm. There. Mhm. Yep, moon mission. I've been watching it since it, ow, that made me lay on my.
Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. They're in the center of your screen, seated at the Capcom, or Capsule Communicator Console. That's Jenny Gibbons, Canadian Space Agency astronaut, and Artemis 2 backup. She was also the lead Capcom for Expedition 63 aboard the International Space Station. The crew is requesting some attitude changes to the spacecraft to allow them to better image the moon, our priority for today. Of course, those have to be discussed on the ground before they are put into work for the spacecraft, so the team is taking some time to do so. You also heard Gibbons reference that we are in 2 deadbands. Deadbands are essentially keeping us in the lane in which we're traveling. If you're familiar with lane assist in your car, very similar in this case. now 10,870 miles away from the moon, traveling 1,066 miles per hour and 249,390 miles away from Earth. Again, we recently surpassed the Apollo 13 distance record of farthest humans have ever traveled.
Sorry,
And upon
watching
calling
the
down some
moon
words during that
mission
milestone,
live stream.
Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen noting that he hopes that this record that they are setting today is soon broken by future explorers.
I am getting ready for dance. I want my hair to be straight. I got out of the shower, so my hair is back to being curly, but I don't want that. I want it to be straight. Yes, I could have put it in a shower cap, but I did not have time. This side and go and just go.
This is Artemis Mission Control. We are standing by for the beginning of Lunar Flyby. Expecting that to start in just a few minutes when the crew will begin a warm-up discussion preparing for the day. They will be capturing images along while discussing what they find familiar about the moon and what looks unexpected to them.
I am already sweating.
Again, just minutes away from the official start of Lunar Flyby, or when it is timelined for the crew. We are currently 10,726 miles away from the moon. This view on the left side of your screen coming from the camera on one of Orion's solar arrays. Other conversation points while the crew are getting ready for their flyby today. They'll be looking to orient themselves using major landmarks, and annotating their observations along with their discussion. They'll have 10 minutes for that warm-up discussion.
Houston integrity. We have two folks at the window deep in discussion talking about all of the awesome features that they're seeing. We just had a huge moment realizing that Hertzsprung is about the same size as our incredible Oriental. We're really excited about this target that's kind of new to us. We're orienting on things like how we talk about albedo, finding some of the prevalent things that we're used to from all of our training, and just overall taking in this view. We also are noticing that the moon is still getting noticeably bigger as we go, even when you're watching it continuously. It's great to see these two guys get warmed up.
We love the report, Christina, thanks, and you nailed it on why we added Hertzsprung. As you'll see in the prompts, we're looking for comparisons to the comparatively much older Hertzsprung compared to the younger Oriental. Great work. This is Artemis Mission Control. That was the voice of Dr. Kelsey Young speaking with the astronauts aboard Orion as they begin their observation period in lunar flyby. NASA astronaut Christina Cook reporting their view of Hertzsprung Basin. The team here is looking for centered images of the basin at a full zoom, and they're hoping that the astronauts can image and describe the inner and outer rings. This is considered a degraded basin with a floor, rings, and ejecta compared to a younger Oriental basin. We spoke earlier with Julian Gross, the Artemis Curation Lead, about some of the terms we will hear the crew use today. One of those just called out, that's albedo, looking at surface brightness, or the amount of light a surface reflects. Terms that we hope to hear today during the crew's sit-reps or situation reports include embaying. This refers to one feature that surrounds another. That usually is a higher relief feature.
Houston integrity, one report from the crew at the windows. We can actually see the moon and Earth at the same time right now. It's interesting because the Earth looks way brighter, so the Earth itself seems to have a much higher albedo than the moon. We think this is independent of our eyes focusing because, of course, the Earth is much smaller than the moon in our view. So you could think that your eyes focus for the darker sky, and that means that it only has apparent brightness more than the moon. But since we're seeing both in the same view, we do think that this can be inferred as the Earth as a whole has a higher albedo.
Great observation, Christina, and a reminder that as you're starting to look for those subtle color and albedo variations on the moon, the relatively bright albedo Earth might make those a little bit difficult, but as your eyes continue to adjust, we expect you to start to see more nuance on the moon. Thanks.
Great call. Thanks for the reminder.
We're all going to be experts in lunar terminology by the end of the day. Another one we expect to hear is mare. These are dark regions paved or filled by volcanic deposits. You also can hear them called seas, oceans, lakes, or marshes, or other bodies of water. Again, we are live in Artemis Mission Control, but on the right side of your screen, that is the Science Evaluation Room. Team members who have been preparing for this day for years. The crew has significantly darkened the cabin of Orion. This allows them better views outside the windows and fewer reflections from inside. They reported being able to see the moon and the Earth out the same window at this time. We are really hopeful to get those photos. Right now, this view on the left side of your screen coming from a camera mounted on one of the solar array wings on Orion outside the spacecraft. The crew is equipped with 80 to 400 millimeter zoom lenses. The team continues their warm-up discussion. I should say the crew members aboard Orion continue their warm-up discussion. However, they are about to be prompted to move on to discussion number 2, which is near side and far side. Some of the things that they are looking to capture, the ground has prompted them to photograph anything that stands out to them and to compare the near side versus the far side mare in color, albedo, topography, and texture. They also want the crew to compare the appearance of rayed craters in the near side mare versus in the far side highlands. Of course, a reminder that some of the items that the crew, or some of the landmarks the crew are seeing today, is the first time that humans have ever laid eyes on those portions of the moon. In the targeting package, there are a few reminders of the crew. For the crew, there are time-sensitive observation reminders and science sit rep reminders.
Integrity. We have sit rep. The targets that are being discussed right now is the far side, near side comparison, and hearing some great discussion of browns and greens in the air start. Plateau and how those disappear as you go toward the North Pole, and then over to the far. Christina's under window. I'm sorry, green is in window 3. Christina's under window 1, documenting the discussion. And we've got the lights completely off in the cabin. There are some LEDs that we cannot put out that do provide some light scatter, but we have all of the internal lights off. And are letting our eyes adjust as best we can. The window 4 view, you only get about a third of the moon. Tycho is going to go over the horizon soon, and you can see Aristarchus, and then you start to lose the view as you go to the west in Oceanus and Procellarum. So far, the team is on the plan, and the long lens is being put to good use, and recordings are being made, and internal documentation of the configuration and the observations is ongoing. Science, do you have any questions for us at this time?
Integrity Science. Victor, very glad that you provided the first formal science sitrep, as these were indeed your idea. One follow-up question, any relationship between those browns and greens you described? Do you see them blending into one another, and do you see any topography associated with either color?
I don't want to bother the window team. I just heard that, overheard that, and so I'm sorry I don't have that detail yet. I will eavesdrop and see if I can pick that up. I will try to answer that at some point. I also heard a comparison of the albedo in Aristarchus, that crater, the very high albedo spot. You can see it on the near side. There is a feature called, I believe, Burgess Alpha, that is equally or maybe higher albedo. I apologize for the gaps. I'm trying to listen and talk at the same time, but I will try to get some more information to correlate those colors from Aristarchus for you.
Understood, Victor, and good call to not bug the window team. Really like the brightness comparisons to Burgess A. Really helpful for the science team. Keep them coming. Thanks.
I also heard a discussion about the albedo of Grimaldi being a 10, and how many of us, when we were a little further away, saw that as the darkest albedo, and that the bigger Mare off to the to the east was still dark, but maybe a 7-8. We still think that, but you are seeing color variation, albedo variation inside of Grimaldi as well, and that even on the west side there's still a very dark part of it, but it is still the darkest. It is just not as uniform as it looked when we were farther away. We're starting to differentiate the striations of albedo inside of Grimaldi.
Copy all, Victor, and you read our mind. Superlatives like darkest, biggest are really, really helpful for us, so keep those coming. As we were just mentioning, the crew is slated to perform these science sit reps. They are prompted to do so by an icon in their lunar targeting plan. That one coming down from NASA astronaut and pilot of Artemis 2, Victor Glover. As we discussed, Capcom is usually the only person in the room speaking with the crew, the capsule communicator. However, today, the science officer, Dr. Kelsey Young, she is the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead, is speaking with the crew during the flyby to ask any questions that the team may have. To her right is Trevor Graff. He is one of 3 science officers. Those would be Kelsey Young, Trevor Graff, and Angela Garcia, who will also join us later for an interview.
Science integrity, I was able to get a view out of window 1, which is a beautiful view. I can see the entire mode that they're looking at. We left the t-shirt up there, so I was kind of peeking through the opening in the makeshift shroud there. And once I was able to get 2 eyes on it, what jumped out at me was Babylon. It's just peeking out of the Terminator. It's clear of the Terminator now, but it just really jumps out because it's still got the low light. The low sun angle, and so where Babylon has that impact over the top of another crater, where the 2 craters intersect on the eastern edge. So on the side closest to Oriental, where the 2 crater rings intersect, the shadow there is the highest peak in the interior of Babylon, and so you can see that terrain is real variation in the terrain there. That there's a nice peak where those peaks intersect, or where those rings intersect. And we'll get a picture of that.
Description, Victor, especially the computer-assisted relationships you just described about topography. If it's easier for your observations, please feel free to remove the t-shirt strap from window 1.
direction, but there's also a lot of interestingness, just a lot of geometry and squiggles and dots and lines that are starting to stand out as more small features come into view. And there also is a lot of variation in albedo. And some of those, the two dark features, for example, have on the southern edge of the larger one, the one that's further to the south, there's a very dark, the one albedo, like the southern and western part of Grimaldi. And the one to the north, closer to Kklovemeow, is also that same dark albedo. And then around there are some very high albedo spots just to the north of the southern one, and just to the west, the smaller one to the north, very high albedo, almost approaching the 10, a 9 or a 10, like Aristarchus. And lots of little bright spots are just starting to pop up in this view. To the north, as you look up at the North Pole, there is a very distinct crater with a lot of a very defined central peak that is also 3 in albedo, and all of that area past it, going to the horizon, gets lighter and lighter. It is very, very high albedo, and I will go look and find the name of that feature if I can look that up. And then to the south, really getting some interesting geography and topography in the South Pole Ancient Basin. And the view of the South Pole is quite amazing. We've got some Terminator there, as well as the limb view, and there is a very distinct crater right at the South Pole. And I'm going to go look up, I don't believe that is Aiken, but I'm going to go look up the name of that one, because it's also giving a lot of good topography due to the shadows that I'm seeing. But that's, I was trying to bound the view that I'm seeing for you, and I got distracted by all of these interesting albedo variations that are popping up in the interior. But that's the view that we see. Just about a long diameter to the west beyond is where the Terminator is. Just beyond, I think Copernicus is the easternmost feature that we can see. A very nice ringed, very nice structure crater to the north with a great high albedo central uplift to the north, and the south is dotted by a very characteristic crater with a lot of terrain, shadow features, and I will go try to find some landmarks to put names with those. Any questions for the observation team?
Integrity Science, love the descriptions. You're definitely looking odd up there. Appreciate seeing the training being implemented. Especially interested in your descriptions of the dark patches. You compared the comma-looking features to the albedo you see in Grimaldi, and notice that you're starting to see those color differences popping out. Any observations you want to make, especially when you get on, the PCD in a little bit, would really help us tease out the differences in those dark mare deposits. Great description, Victor. Keep them coming.
Absolutely will do, and I know you've got descriptions on both of the window observers right now as well.
Mr. Gino. I look like shit right now. I was trying to take out to make it look not like shit. So let's go. If I can open it.
Great evidence of how well trained this crew is by the science team. NASA astronaut and pilot of the Artemis II mission, Victor Glover, calling down a situation report, noting several different features on the moon and such descriptions, even saying that it looks like snow on some of the peaks. Obviously, we do not expect that to be snow, but referencing that as some of the lighting on how it looks to the Artemis II crew from their current position. team is slated to be switching their positions at the windows now. Both Reed Wiseman and Jeremy Hansen have been at windows 2 and 3, one taking photos, one making observations and annotations on their portable computing device. At this time, we also anticipate that they are looking at a crater duo. One of those is Glushko, and the other is Ohm. The team is looking to know the extent of Glushko's ray system and how its rays differ in the Mare versus the highlands. They also want the team to compare the ray systems of Glushko to Ohm.
Sorry, I needed this. Oh, and I also need to grab my phone charger.
The team is specifically interested in descriptions of that ray visibility, including the color, albedo. Remember, albedo is the brightness or the surface reflection, and the reach. Again, I am using the same lunar targeting package that the crew is referencing on board right now. This helps keep them on time as well as prompt them for when they need to make a call down to the science team and report what they're saying. It also gives them reminders of when they need to swap positions at the windows. Additionally, I'm using the Artemis 2 Lunar Science Passport developed by Amber Turner and the Artemis 2 Lunar Science team. Now, this passport did not fly with the crew, but they used it extensively as a study guide here on Earth. So a lot of the descriptions and comparisons you hear today are developed directly by the science team. We are now 4 days, 20 hours, and 43 minutes.
Science integrity. That crater to the
Sorry,
north,
I need to.
that is like we've got one in the north that looks like just a textbook crater, and one on the south pole as well. The one on the north, I think, is Pythagoras. And what I wanted to highlight about that is it is either a very distinct central uplift or just a very defined area of high albedo. If a majority of the crater, especially the Florida crater, is, say, an albedo of 5, this center, and gosh, only a tenth of the diameter of Pythagoras is an albedo of 2, maybe 3, but it's very bright and it stands out. And then between that crater and the actual, what is the horizon from here, there seems to be another crater right on the horizon. And right on the edge of that is another patch of that albedo. It seems to be between the two craters. It's hard to tell from this crazy angle. But there is another spot just further north beyond Pythagoras between the two. I can draw a picture of this one and show you where that very high albedo, again, another 2 albedo surrounded by 5 in most of the area bounding it.
Integrity science, thanks for that. We agree with the Pythagoras assessment. And as a follow-up to your previous report, the SIR had questions about topography comparisons between the North Pole and the South Pole of the Moon, if you're willing to provide words on that.
Topography comparisons, absolutely. And if you have any idea of what, if you draw a line between Pythagoras and the western edge of the outer defined ring of Oriental, it intersects that beautiful textbook crater on the south. I would love to know the name of that. The topography differences, now the South Pole has a little bit of a benefit that it has more of the terminator, and I can see a little more shadowing there, but there's a nice crater right at the South Pole, so that's the main thing defining the topography there. Seems to be quite a bit of elevation change. I can see some very jagged shadows at 90 degrees just to the west of that crater at the South Pole. I can see a very distinct change in the shadow directions, indicating, I don't know, a very high wall or a very deep canyon just to the west of that. And in the north, it seems to me that from sort of the edge of the Mare, and it's dark, which is maybe 1 Pythagoras diameter south. If you draw a ring about that, maybe the top 7 degrees of the moon, and just draw a ring around that. The near side is an albedo of 5, and looks quite smooth from here. And then along the same edge of the Mare, that kind of Grimaldi is just outside of, Geological is just outside of, Carroll Crater is just outside of, and you start to see the stark differences between the darker 7/8 and the 5s and 6s, the 4s and 5s. If you follow that line up to the north, that line is also where the change in topography happens at the North Pole. The line defining the light and dark on the edge of the Mare that you can see from Earth. Draw that line roughly the midpoint of all that straight to the North Pole, and on the side facing the Earth, you see smoother topography and dotted by Pythagoras and its next door neighbor crater. And then on the far side, you see a lot more cratering and a lot more topography. And again, the far side has the benefit of a little terminator there, but I am seeing a variation in the topography. It seems to be more jagged, a more challenging place to find a place to land and to even traverse in the south, all around the South Pole. And at the North Pole, it seems to be it would be more challenging to translate on the far side of the North Pole compared to the near side of the North Pole around Pythagoras.
Copy all, Victor. You really help paint a contextual picture of what you're looking at. We really appreciate the way that you're guiding us into the areas you're seeing by drawing comparisons between recognizable features. Thanks for that.
Kelsey, another little science moment, something I just heard from the window team is the more I look at the moon, the browner and browner it looks. I thought that was an interesting observation. The 2 observers have been on timeline, no hardware issues. They did start to talk a little bit about another feature that you'll hear more about on the recordings that they call the handprint. That was at the end of their Geological and before they moved into their current target. They thought that was worth chatting a little bit more about. And they're preparing to switch after this.
Houston copies and concurs.
Houston and science, integrity, another just observation from the human. My eyes have shifted a little bit since I've been up here. I've been wearing my reading glasses to look at the PCD. Well, this is a very taxing event on the eyes, looking out the window and seeing the very bright moon, and coming back inside to the dark cabin and trying to work cameras and microphones and logistics and lunch and those kinds of things, and then looking at the PCD, which is dimly lit. It's just been an exercise. It is a difficult thing to manage it. I'm up and down on the glasses and then having to wait as my eyes adjust when I come back in. As soon as I look back into the cabin from looking out the window, I can feel my eyes adjusting, and I just have to work through it as they adjust.
Appreciate that report, Victor, and know that we are prepared to read you up targets from the ground if that would give you the ability to keep your eyes focused on the moon and not having to swap between that and the PCD. Just let us know.
Yeah, we appreciate that science, and we will also do that for the window teams, and we'll back each other up that way as well. But we appreciate that. We may take you up on that. Thanks.
Continued detailed descriptions from the Artemis 2 crew aboard Orion. Again, this is a test flight, the first time we've flown humans aboard this spacecraft, so every detail, even that it's difficult to look outside the window and then back at the PCD, that portable computing device, every single detail is appreciated as we prepare for future missions. Glover also mentioned that he is now wearing his glasses now that he's in space and that his eyes have shifted a bit. This is something that happens when our astronauts go to space. There is a fluid shift from the lower half of your body up into your head, and that can cause changes in your eyes. It's something that we have seen over time for some crew members, especially now that we have been living and working on the International Space Station for over 25 years. Again, it's clear that these Artemis 2 astronauts have undergone extensive lunar science training, including classroom instruction, fieldwork, and high-fidelity simulations. Training expeditions even took place in analog environments like the Icelandic Highlands and the Kemasassen impact crater in Labrador, where crews practiced identifying and describing geologic features under varying conditions. Additionally, here at Johnson Space Center, Orion mock-ups were used to rehearse crew choreography, including three-dimensional space management with an inflatable moon globe to simulate the flyby. And while on Earth, the crew also used that small lunar passport that I mentioned with descriptions, photos, and prompts to help them study the features we hope they'll see. Now, this is a view from their lunar targeting package at this time, helping them determine what they're seeing on the moon, as well as on the left, keep up with what their next target will be. As you can see, we have got a long list and an exciting day ahead of us. It's now been 4 days, 20 hours, and 53 minutes since Orion launched atop the Space Launch System rocket from Kennedy Space Center in Florida with our 4 crew members aboard: NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. The Artemis 2 crew passed a major milestone today when they passed the Apollo 13 distance record at 12:57 p.m. Central, 1:57 p.m. Eastern. That Apollo 13 distance record was 248,655 statute miles from Earth.
Houston, another observation, whole moon. When you look at the moon, something I've never seen in photographs before, but is very apparent, all the really bright new craters. Some of them are super tiny. Most of them are pretty small. There's a couple that really stand out, obviously. And what it really looks like is like a lampshade with tiny pinprick holes and the light shining through. They are so bright compared to the rest of the moon.
We copy, Christina. Thank you. Looks like you guys might be doing it, but remind you to swap positions at the window and take your SD cards with you. We're loving everything that you're calling down, so keep it up.
Again, Orion previously surpassed that the Apollo 13 greatest distance from Earth by humans. That was 248,655 statute miles from Earth, and Orion now 250,294 miles away from our home planet. The spacecraft is 9,033 miles away from the moon and growing ever closer. At its closest approach, it'll be about 4,070 miles away, and we will make sure we confirm What that distance ends up being, this is an approximation and an estimate ahead of that moment. We're anticipating them to make that closest approach at 6:02 p.m. Central, 7:02 Eastern, when they are in a loss of signal, transiting behind the moon. They will be the first humans in over 50 years to fly behind the moon and lose contact with Earth. We will regain that contact about 40 minutes later as they reconnect to the Deep Space Network, emerging from behind the moon, and we will look forward to seeing an Earthrise. Again, the crew is currently in their position swap portion on their timeline.
No, good old.
This allows crew members the opportunity and the experience of all roles necessary during today's flyby. Right now, those two crew members at the window have swap positions. Again, the crew at the windows swapping positions. Right now, that crew is Commander Reed Wiseman and Mission Specialist Jeremy Hansen, while Victor Glover and Christina Cook serve as their support flyby crew members. That's why you are hearing Victor and Christina during those science situation reports. Those voices will change in about 30 minutes when they take a turn taking photos and making annotations while at the window.
You gotta have some good on your life. I mean, like, at that school. Yes. No, I was working on this. You know, I'm not even Google, so fuck. I'm either gonna do my next ability, so. Oh wow, I have all I used before. This might just go.
I wanted to provide an observation or a little bit of descriptive nature on something that we saw on the first day we had good moon views. This was when we saw more of the near side, and the ground helped me out with identifying Mare Imbrium. Mare Imbrium, when you have the western limb also in view, looks completely different than the normal view we have of the near side. It is the most striking feature of the western limb view that we have. And its entire mountain chains that form its eastern side are very prominent, but they actually stand out more than I'm used to seeing even on the western side. And the whole thing just feels like a big bump. It actually looks like a large healing wound with a high albedo forming the mountain chain around the impact basin. And I just don't think I had enough chance to describe how striking it was on that western limb view as we were coming in a couple days ago. Christina, science, absolutely love that, especially since that's a feature that all of us here on Earth center perform. So I'm sure tonight everyone's going to be going out and looking for evidence of that beautiful topography you just said. Thanks for those words.
And I do need to eat also. It's a cute little salad with a croissant. Anyhow, bye bye.